Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Noland. Tonight we're going to be talking about Bob Dylan, we're going to be talking about Jann Wenner, we're going to be talking about Rolling Stone magazine, as well as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Because you see, according to Bob Dylan, Jann Wenner needs to be brought back in to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right, so the few of you who aren't aware of this story, basically it gets down to this. Jann Wenner put out a book. He was being interviewed about the book, and of course, the book featured all white rock artists, and they asked him, why didn't you include any black artists or women artists of rock and roll? To which he basically explained that he didn't find black artists and women artists in rock and roll very articulate. Fast forward to just this last week, and Bob Dylan is calling for Jann Wenner to be reinstated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now keep in mind, first of all, Rolling Stone magazine has completely distanced themselves from Wenner. Wenner is no longer with the magazine, and when he opened his mouth, the magazine was one of the very first to respond saying they had nothing to do with this man. But what do you do when the guy who's being interviewed with this absurd opinion is also in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Well, in today's climate, they were right behind Rolling Stone magazine saying that they had kicked him out, basically, and that they had nothing to do with him either. Now, the fact that Bob Dylan and Jann Wenner are friends figures into this quite heavily. Rolling Stone magazine, especially back in the day, you had to be featured in that magazine. They featured Dylan very prominently. As a matter of fact, in 2016, they considered him the greatest songwriter of all time in rock and roll. I don't agree with that. He's definitely in the top 5, but the greatest songwriter? And then just recently, they named him the number 15th vocalist of all time, if you can even begin to believe that award. Now, Jann Wenner has spent an entire career shaping the appearance of rock and roll, both through Rolling Stone magazine and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it's with his leadership that a whole lot of bands, and we've covered those bands on past videos on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, who have been shunned merely because they pissed off Jann Wenner. Now, how has he managed to amass so much power? Well, first of all, his was the first magazine to really cover a certain aspect of rock and roll. There's no doubt about it. That was a win for the man. But over the years, he somehow managed to become an insider to a lot of these rock stars. His first coup was crawling up John Lennon's ass so far for that interview in Rolling Stone magazine back in the day. Well, you would think that John Lennon was the Messiah and he was the second coming or something. But this gets to my point, folks. You see, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, by kicking this guy out, hasn't accomplished a damned thing. They're still molded after the man, and he is the molder of the appearance of rock and roll for many fans. But this gets on to another thing I've talked about on this channel. There is an elitism in rock and roll. I call them the Hollywood crowd, and I'm sad to say Bob Dylan is no different than a lot of these people. Now, does that make me not a Bob Dylan fan? Of course not. I have already stated he's one of the greatest songwriters in the history of rock. His influence on the Beatles, and you guys know I'm a Beatles fan, was very key and important to their development. But what is it with some of these rock stars? You know who I'm talking about. The Bruce Springsteens, the Roger Waters, the Bonos, and apparently Bob Dylan. You know, Bob Dylan is the one guy I would have thought that would have been smart enough to keep his mouth shut on this whole debate. You see, Bob Dylan is almost a spokesman on the level of John Lennon. And for him to back this guy up at this point of time in 2023 is a sad joke, folks. But it goes beyond that. You see, these are all talented rock icons. I'm a fan of all of them in one way or another. But their good old boys club has resulted in me losing a whole lot of faith in those exact icons. All right, so my question to the tribe tonight, folks, is it possible for you to be a fan of someone's music and not care for them personally? And if so, I want to hear from you. I want to see who you put on that list for yourself. My list, again, Bono, Roger Waters, Bruce Springsteen, and Bob Dylan. I have a few more, but that'll get you started tonight. And by the way, if you enjoyed the video tonight, please give it a thumbs up. That helps with channel growth, of course. And if you've been watching these videos, and you haven't subscribed to the channel as of yet, it's so easy. All you have to do is hit that subscribe to the tribe button, tap that top bell icon, and you'll be notified of all my future videos. All right, folks, I've got a couple of really hot videos coming up for you. I want to hear from you in the comments, of course, because you know what? You and I, in the comments especially, we are the tribe.